channel Chill Computer Guy, and yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. We are in Bitwig Studio. Bitwig 2.2.2, I think, to be exact. Now, why am I in Bitwig Studio? Well, I got what I would call kind of the Bitwig itch, if you will. I was browsing the YouTube, and a Bitwig video came up. Clicked on it, Bitwig came up, and I'm looking at Bitwig, and I'm looking at its shortcomings, but I'm looking at its cohesiveness. And the number one thing about Bitwig Studio is it's all on one screen. Granted, you can branch out and have multiple screens, but everything you need is on one screen, and that's such a huge deal to me, you know. Now, I've been doing a lot of propeller head reason tutorials, which are great, but basically that's taking place on 3 different screens, and you're constantly switching back and forth. And I have found that the smaller projects in propeller head reason I'm pretty good with, I'm cohesive with, but once the project becomes large, it's just, I don't know what it is. I have a workflow. I stumble around the workflow. And I do believe that if you're constantly jumping around in different DAWs, you're never going to get solid at any one DAW. So I believe it is very important to pick whatever DAW you want to work with and really master that. Propeller head reason, I have not upgraded yet. And I'm really just, I cannot do it. I just can't do it. I don't know why I can't do it. Maybe I will eventually, but I honestly don't think I'm going to upgrade until, you know, a 10.2, 10.5, something comes out that just really gets me excited. But anyway, I'm in a Bitwig Studio now. Bitwig Studio has serious shortcomings as well that I wish would be addressed. And we're going to go over some of those, and we're also going to load up some old songs and talk about some of the great things about Bitwig. So it's not going to be like a Bitwig gripe session or anything. It's going to actually be more positive than negative as far as Bitwig Studio is concerned. Yeah, so let's go ahead and dig in here. Let's go ahead and open this. Now, if we go to J Childs, that's me. It's going to show this list. Now, this list is just, it's forever. It's just as long. None of these are connected. Like, I can click on these and they're not even going to open. You know why they're not going to open? Because I've moved these files. These files aren't even in the same folder. So these are all just basically dead links. And there's no way to clear these out. You know, I mean, that really just blows ass. It really blows ass. Now, if you go to my projects, you can link this like this. These are actually the last of the old projects I was working on. But the thing about this my projects folder is in your settings under locations, you can set where that folder's going. Now, I wish there was a way you can just clear out this recent projects folder. There's no way to clear this out, and it's just, oh my god, it just goes on, and like I say, half these are dead links, and some of these are songs that I don't even want to look at. I don't even want to look at anymore. So, you know, Bitwig, put a little thing where you can clear this out. That's number one. That's a huge thing. Another thing is a regroove mixer, or a groove pool. In Ableton, it's a groove pool. In propeller head reason, it's a regroove mixer. You know, you can go to the shuffle and you have your settings here. This is basically a global shuffle. Now, each individual MIDI clip, if we were to open up, let's go ahead and open up a project here. Let's go ahead and just open up a random project here. We'll get this loaded up. I like the way you can open multiple projects and activate the audio engine for each individual project. That, in my opinion, is a super good thing. So, you know, kudos to Bitwig Studio for doing that. But you can see with the MIDI clips here, let's do this like this one, for example. You know, you can click on a MIDI clip and you can go to quantize up here, and it's going to give you this. You know, so you have this guy here. You have your shuffle, you have your humanize, you have your start, and then, you know, and you have, you know, a grid here, so you can select your grid. And so this is kind of along the lines of like a regroove or a groove pool. The fact that you can, each clip, you can have different settings on here with each clip. So that is powerful, but there's no way to actually bring in preset grooves, or there's no way to save. Like if you come up with a certain shuffle or humanize percentage, and there's not really a velocity setting in here as well. So this is one way to actually alter the groove of your clip, but like I say, there's no way to load presets or to save this and to apply this to other clips. The other way is over here in the inspector. Let's go over to the inspector here. The other way is over here in the inspector. You see, if I click on this, it's going to give me this shuffle right here, and then an accent amount. So this accent amount right here is basically having to do with velocity. So this is another third part of the shuffle. So you have a global shuffle here. You can disable your global shuffle. So those are your three kind of shuffle options. Now, shuffle and groove is like a huge thing to me, a huge thing. I cannot even tell you how major of a thing shuffle and groove is to me. It's like a super crucial part of a DAW. Anyway, let's play this groove. Enough talk. Let's play some music right here. Okay, here we go.
Paradise, I can't deny, you make me high. Paradise, I can't deny, you make me high.
So quickly, just to mention, very little processing going on. There's no EQs. This is just instruments, MIDI notes, and samples. I have an L2 on the master bus, and that's all that's going on. And that just kind of shows you that the sound engine, the ability to create cohesive, good sounding music in Bitwig Studio is not really a question. Like I say, this is something I threw together. Eventually, yeah, I'm going to have to go through and throw an EQ on these. Could be a VST, could be the default EQ here in Bitwig Studio, but again, very little processing, and it does sound, I think, pretty good. What I've always really admired is the fact that you can, have your clip launcher and your arranger side by side, and then anyway, it's just a beautiful workflow, basically, is what I'm getting at. Okay, that's enough of that song. We're moving on. Let's check out another song here. And again, I really like the fact that you open up multiple projects and basically disable the sound engine. That way you can have 2-3 projects open and not have your DSP choke. I know with Propeller Head Reason, if you got 2 or more projects open, the DSP starts to choke because you can't actually disable the project, which is pretty shitty, I guess, All right, let's play through this one. This one is just basically audio and a MIDI lane for the drums. Again, nothing going on here. We do have quite a bit of VSTs running in this project, so this is a good example of how VSTs. In the past, I do think that Bitwig Studio did have some DSP issues with running lots of VSTs, but that has definitely been improved. And 2 or 2.2 or wherever they're at, it's definitely an improvement over the original, Bitwig, for sure. Let's go ahead and play this here. Now you can hear in the send and return I introduce a slight amount of the bass onto the reverb, and when you play it through the return track it almost sounds like kind of like a crosstalk type of thing. Normally you wouldn't introduce reverb to your bass, but in this sense you almost get I think if you put a reverb on a send and return, you should send a little bit of signal from all your instruments to it, even the bass, just because it gives you a sense of like the instruments having this cohesive feel. Listen to this again here. You can see again the DSP graph here. The Abbey Road reverb is very high on DSP. Echo Boy's fairly high. Trash is a decent amount of DSP as well. The fact is I'm running all these. Let's go ahead and go back to the main song. You can see the DSP graph. Keep in mind I'm at 48,000 hertz, so I'm not at 44.1 or anything. I'm at 48. I'm not at 96, but why be at 96? So do keep in mind I'm at 48 samples. So I'm going to go ahead and disable these sends. We were listening just to the return tracks, which is a beautiful thing that you can do that. Let's listen to the whole track with all the VSTs, and then we'll keep an eye on the DSP graph. I'm going to slowly put these away. I mean, that's a nice sounding snare drum in my opinion. It's smashed all to hell. But we have this vintage Earl Exciter. It's just a great. These waves. I know I sound like a broken record with this, but these waves, VSTs, just they'll go on sale. They'll all eventually be $29.95. So just kind of collect them when they come up for $29.95. Just break your piggy bank and get them because they're worth it. They're very good VSTs here. Let's keep going here. So you can see pretty basic track. Like I say, it's just a drum loop, some drum MIDI rather, and a couple of bass loops. But the important thing is there's a lot of VSTs running simultaneously. You can see the DSP is holding its own. So anyway, next track I want to check out. Oh, here we go. There's a little side trance, some 145 side trance. Like why not just pump the hell out of it, right? Okay, so here's some side trance. The kids love the side trance. Here we go. You can see with the bass, the bass I got the serum, very, very basic serum patch. It's just a couple of saw waves with a little unison. blended together with a little bit of a low 12 on there. And then we have this Klinghelm SDRR. It's one of my favorite saturators. I love this plugin. Super cheap too. It's like, you know, 20-30 bucks or something. And then for the kick drum, we have, of course, the sausage fattener. You got to fatten it up with the sausage fattener. And then the kick 2 Sonic Academy, which is, if you're going to make the house, the 4/4, you kind of have to have this plug-in. I recommend layering just normal drum samples with it. And then the snare and the hi-hat, I just basically have a drum machine or a drum cube and just a shitload of snares. Of course, they're all going through the Echo Boy there. And then same with the hi-hat. Just a brick of hi-hats and a brick of snare drums. That way I can just kind of cycle through them. Just by simply moving the MIDI notes, you can assign that to a different hi-hat or snare drum. That's a good trick. You know, everybody knows that trick. And then we have our send and returns. That's great. Listen to that. Now you can hear here just the Abbey Road reverb and the Echo Boy together, just these two together with, you know, I'm sending a lot of the snare drum and a lot of the hi-hat to these two plugins, but I'm also, of course, sending a slight amount of the bass and a slight amount of the kick drum to the plate's reverb. And why that is, again, like I was just saying, it gives you an atmosphere. It gives you a sense that all the instruments are in the same room. And this here is another Klinghelm, the VUMT. I think I had I think I did a review on this. I love this. This is a really good metering. You can see it's just totally pegged right here. Check this out. It's pegged. Yeah, it's pretty safe to say this isn't ready for mastering, but I don't know. The L2, I love the L2. It's my favorite limiter. It's easy. It's easy. But yeah, this track's obviously pegged out pretty good. I mean, it's not. I mix pretty loud, and then later on, if I am going to put this into Adobe Audition to master it, I'm going to bring this down, obviously. Anyway, that's enough of that track. Next up, we're going to talk about vocals, because vocals are very important. As far as let's go ahead and close those down. Vocal processing. This track right here probably has the most processing on it. It's a vocal cut. It does have vocals in it, but this is another great example of, you know, basically a shitload of plugins running and the DSP being fairly. You can see it there. I'm going to go ahead and leave it down here so we can see it. You can see the DSP, and it is a little heavy, but again, these other 3 tracks or whatever are completely disabled. Their sound engine is disabled. They're dormant. They're not taking any not even an ounce of DSP from this project. So I can, you know, put all the DSP into this project. Now let's go ahead and zoom in so we can kind of see what's going on. So you can see there's kind of my processing for this track. So you can see there's a lot of plugins going on, right? And there's also the send and return plugins down here. So you can see there's a lot of plugins going on here. Let's go ahead and play this track, and we'll get it going here. Why do I have a Kramer exciter on the bass track? That's really weird. So you can see now we're actually getting DSP spikes. You can hear it. You can hear the clicking, and that's a DSP spike. So this project is being kind of pushed to the limit, but the important thing to remember is you can bounce this down into audio. And a lot of the DSP is being taken up, in my opinion, by the vocal chain. When it comes to putting vocals in, what I actually recommend doing is the instruments, mixing those down, either bouncing them into audio, and you can keep your MIDI data, but use that as a reference. So when you're putting your vocals together, it gives you a lot more leeway on your DSP. I have no idea why I got a vintage exciter on the bass track, but I guess I'll just turn it off for now. All right, we're going to go through this a track at a time, super quick, all right? And then we're going to talk about the vocal processing. So there it is. That's the drum bus there. We have the Kramer master tape as well as the Abbey Road Studio. This is one of my favorite EQs, both visually as well as you can do a side-mid split. So you can do a mid-side split, and it gives you a nice visual, and it has a really kind of just a vintage feel to it. I love these vintage plugins. It gives your sounds that vintage kind of character. Now, like I was saying, I've collected these over the years. Wait for the $29.95 sale, and each and every Waves plugin will eventually be $29. You just need to subscribe to the newsletter, and what you'll do is you'll get an email. And the thing is with the Waves, is these sales are 24 hours, so unless you're constantly checking in with the website, you're going to miss them. But if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get an email being like, hey, the Kramer Master Tape's on sale for $29.95 for the next 24 hours. And then bam, you go there, break your piggy bank open a little bit and get it. The one plugin I don't quite have yet that I still want to get is the SSL Master Bus Compressor. It has not got on sale yet. So Waves, hook it up, man. Put that on sale. Anyway, so that's the drum bus. Let's keep going ahead and we'll look at the other instruments in the track. Again, you're seeing that DSP spike and it's causing a click. So you kind of have to fish out the root of that because something's causing that. So we'll figure that out. Anyway, this is a kind of a unique piano. You have a Cthulhu going into the Electric 88. The Cthulhu, if you don't have this plugin, it's absolutely essential, and it runs better in Bitwig Studio than any other DAW because you can just put it in as a MIDI effect, and you don't have to, like in Ableton or other DAWs, you have to actually route your MIDI lane to it and do all this other bullshit. And in Propellerhead Reason, this plugin doesn't even work. But the thing about this plugin is you can buy these sets. ADSR has these sets, and they're like super cheap. They're like $10, and you get just shitloads of chords, and it's a one note chord, and you add some modulation to it, and I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. All right, let's move on again. I think the synth master's out of date. All right, so that's basically the instruments right there. This sample right here, actually, I can't find it. I don't know what it is. I've dug all over for it. I can't find that sample, so it's kind of, I'm going to probably delete it from the project. What we're going to do now is we're going to attempt to kind of explain the vocal chain. Now, the vocal chain, you have one main vocal, and I'm sending that to two parallels. One of them low, like a low mid, and the other one going to the sides in a higher kind of register. So let's go ahead and solo this, and we'll kind of show what I'm talking about. Now, a lot of the vocal is getting sent to the send and return. In fact, I actually have a send and return that is specifically for the vocal, and if we open that up, you can see we have the vintage Aurora Exciter. I love this plugin. This is a really great plugin. I love this plugin on snare drums and on vocals. Anything where there needs to be kind of a high, it just gives a kind of a high sparkle, and a super great plugin. So let's go ahead and play this, and you see we're soloing the vocal bus, and then we're also soloing the two Vox, which is the Aurora Exciter there. So the main vocal, of course, we have the Waves live tune. This is kind of essential just to make sure your vocal's in key. We're in the scale of A natural minor, so we just set this to A natural minor, turn this up to 100%. I'd actually watch a tutorial video on this plugin because it's kind of like I'm not a big singing in key guy. I don't even know if I do sing in key. I just put this on generic. But this plugin, actually, I do need to study more. I'm more familiar with the Neptune pitch adjuster from Propellerhead Reason. I actually prefer that plugin over this, but that plugin is, of course, native to Propellerhead Reason. I wish there was I wish Neptune had a VST version of that, because I love the Neptune pitch adjuster in Propellerhead Reason. It's one of the things that keeps me going back to Reason, that and the Regroove mixer. But this is, in my opinion, maybe a better plugin. I don't know. I just know how to use the Neptune a lot better than using this. But anyway, so I just set this to the scale, crank it up, and call it good. And then next up, that's going into a CLA2A, which is a must-have. You have to put this on your vocal, a must-have. And then we have this, the mono stereo split thing, and then this is kind of giving us some modulation. And then we have this ultra pitch shift. This particular vocal chain is pretty solid. It's the pitch adjuster heading into the CLA2A, and then that's going into the ultra pitch, which is down here, and then at the end is this PS22. Let's go ahead and solo that so we can kind of get a sense of what's going on there.
What you do every day, bringing something around.
And then that's the main vocal, and then that's gonna be split into this, which is the low side. So what I have is I have an audio receiver. So basically the audio receiver is taking place right here. It's right after the pitch adjuster. So all these plugins are not being included in the signal that is going to this vocal low right here. So the audio receiver is basically picking up right after the tune, right after the waves tune. And we have it going through a tool, and then we have looks like a high shelf and a low cut, and then an H delay, and then a oscilloscope, I guess. I mean, this is a pretty old track, so I don't remember what my thought process was, but this says vocal low, but it looks like it's got a low cut and a high shelf, and the width is medium, plus it has a delay, so I don't know why it says low. This to me means it's like it would have maybe a low shelf and a high cut, and maybe some distortion or something. It definitely wouldn't have a delay if it's low, so I don't really know what was going on here. But so we have a delay on this side of this first parallel. We have a delay on the second parallel. We have again the audio receiver coming right after the waves tune before all the other plugins on the main line. And then this has another high shelf, and then we have the Butch Vig. This is a really good vocal plugin to just kind of throw on and tweak it. But throw it on a parallel. Don't throw this on your main vocal. Throw this on a parallel and mix into it. And then after that, we're going into this the RS56 stereo. I love this EQ. It's one of my favorite EQs. I love it visually. I love the sound of it. It has just a slick kind of a vintage feel. And the great thing about this EQ is it doesn't add any gain. It's a passive EQ, which means it doesn't add any gain to the signal. It sculpts the signal without adding gain, basically, is what it does. And so that's basically the vocal chain, is the main vocal plus 2 parallels. And then a lot of that signal is sent to the send and return. And then this sample down here, this is just an old sample. I don't know where this is at. I can't find it. I don't even know what it is. And so I'll probably actually end up deleting that track because it's an old sample and I dug for it. I don't know what it is. I don't remember what it is. So that's it. That's pretty much that track there. The big story here is the DSP. Now we are getting that spike, that like half note spike, or a lot of these tracks can be bounced down to audio, and you can definitely cut down on the DSP, but for the amount of plugins that are going on in this track, I think it's performing very well. Let's go ahead and play this. We're going to solo each track, and we'll play through this one last time, and then we'll see you guys again. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, give a comment, let me know what you want to see. Are we going to do Bitwig? Are we going to go back to the Bitwig? We might go back to Bitwig Studio and start doing some stuff with Bitwig Studio as far as, lessons, tutorials, reviews, whatever you want to call it. Centered around Bitwig Studio. I don't know what it is. I'm just getting a little, I'm bouncing back and forth. Every time I've been opening Propellerhead Reason, I just open the program and I'm just not inspired. But for some reason I opened Bitwig Studio. I haven't opened this in months, and I was instantly inspired and excited to work on music again. So what the heck, I'll just bounce back and forth. So we might have a couple of Bitwig tutorials coming up, so be sure to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up. We'll have more Reason tutorials as well, I'm sure. So anyway, if you haven't already, please subscribe, give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Let me check my fucking phone. Let me check my fucking phone. You're alone.